Welcome back to the show, Reds. What a massive weekend we have coming up. An absolute belter of a game. Title decider, no less. Let's wait and see. But this is the Shankly Sessions. We are back after a week of a hiatus. I was away in Dallas at Wrestling Mania. And then you come back to a main event this weekend, the Super Sunday of all Super Sundays. Man City versus Liverpool, 4:30 from the Etihad Stadium, the battleground where the title is going to be decided. Hard to really take this all in at the moment. Our form has been unbelievable. City, again, at times flatter to deceive. And we'll get into their current form and league form and the head-to-heads and all that kind of stuff during the episode. But this is your big match preview, being billed as the title decider. I think if Man City win, definitely a title decider. I think if it's a draw, anything can happen in the last 7 games. And I think if we win, anything could still happen as well, but I think it will propel us a lot. But no doubt we're showing brilliant form at the moment. As far as I know, we've got a full bill of health, full squad available. I think Man City are in the same position as well. I think Ruben Diaz has returned, albeit he hasn't had much match practice. Forgive me if I'm a little bit nasally and a little bit sore. Bit of jet lag from that trip to Dallas still kicking in here, so a bit wasted still at the moment. But Liverpool with 10 wins on the bounce in the league, and albeit booked their place into the semi-final of the Champions League with a fantastic win against Benfica the other night, albeit that a mistake from Kanate costing us a goal. But other than that, it was a brilliant performance and so much better than Benfica. I think I looked at the first half and I was thinking we could have been 3, 4, 5 up, with just a little bit more guile and a little bit more intent. But yeah, it's shocking to think that Benfica side was the one that put Ajax out. Like I thought they were so poor. I thought the gulf in quality was clear for everyone to see, and we were the away team. The Champions League result is kind of thrown up a little bit of a spanner in this, isn't it? Insofar as we can go in with a full squad here and a full team, play our strongest team. We don't really have to rotate because we've more or less made the semi-final. Definitely one leg and more in there anyway. For City, it's a little bit different. They had a 1-0 win against Atletico. But I think they have to go to Atletico now, which is always a tough task to go to the Wanda, and especially with only a 1-0 lead. So they can ill afford to rotate and stuff like that. So they not that they would, they'd probably play their full squad anyway. And we know with City, they're so strong squad wise anyway that, you know, with 2 banks of 11, they can play really strong teams anyway. But we've really been on their minds. I mean, some of the interviews from Pep and stuff like that, and the interviews from, I think, Laporte gave an interview as well. There was a lot of Liverpool talk in it, which means we're in their minds. And obviously we were 14 points behind back in January. And we've pulled that back to 1 point. So it really sets up for a real tantalizing match, insofar as, you know, a lot of players are coming into really, really good form. I think throughout this season, and especially since Christmas, I think both teams have played solid enough, but done enough to get the job done. I don't think at any point either team has really, really looked electric. I don't think either team has really looked and shown the form that it has shown in the past. But I think we've got the job done and they've got the job done. They've gotten through sticky fixtures. We've gotten through sticky fixtures to get the job done. But neither of us is playing like, you know, at that level. And is this the game that brings that level out now? And will it bring that level out in both teams? Or will it only bring that level out in one teams? And if you can imagine a scenario, it's like Liverpool are standing outside a nightclub peering in the door and the Premier League title is there and the bouncers on the door are Ruben Diaz and Laporte, maybe John Stones. And it's whether we have the guile and the nerve and the tenacity and the intent and up for the battle, the mentality monsters, as we call these boys, to step through that door and grasp one hand on that Premier League title. It's been a tough hunting ground for us, the Etihad. I don't think we've won there in Pep's reign, especially in the league, as far as I know. So it's going to be a really, really tough task. They've got really, really good players. The midfield at times worries me how our midfield stacks up to their midfield. And the question is, what midfield are we going to play? Does Captain Fantastic Hendo go back in there to solidify the midfield and provide that cover for Trent so Trent can do what he does best? Or do we go with Fabinho in the anchor and we have Keita and we have Thiago? I think the back five picks itself. Alisson, I think, there's no doubt it'll be Alisson, Trent. I think Matip comes back in. Konate will be unfortunate. I think he played well against Benfica, bar that one mistake. But I think Robbo will start as well. But I just think our team from the front and the back, I think, kind of picks itself. I think he'll go with the OGs up front. But it's that midfield where decisions have to be made. And we know how strong their midfield is in there with Rodri and all. You got that Rodri, you got Gundogan, you got Bernardo Silva, you got so many strong players in there in that midfield. That if we're not careful, that's where the battle can be won and lost. So really, really important that we look at that. If you look at current form at the moment, Man City, 4 wins and 2 draws. Liverpool, 5 wins and 1 loss. The 1 loss being the Inter Milan one and Anfield, which is kind of a throwaway game anyway, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. In terms of league form, 6 wins on the bounce for Liverpool. For Man City, 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. So in different form from them at times, and certainly dropping points where you wouldn't necessarily expect them to drop points. If you look at the head-to-heads tell a different story. Yeah, Man City with 5 wins, 4 draws and 1 loss, and of course us with 2 wins, 4 draws and 4 losses. So Man City by far have been the stronger team over a certain period of, say, 10 games in the Premier League. And in the Etihad, I think it's only 1 win in 10 league games that we've had. So it hasn't been a happy hunting ground. And then we hear that we have Anthony Taylor as the referee and we have Paul Tierney in the VAR boot, which is really, really concerning because both these guys have been really poor officiating this year. And that's not to make excuses. It's plain to see. And they've been very poor officiating across the board in matches, not just Liverpool games or Man City games. So it's very, very concerning that these 2 guys will be awarded this match, which is probably the biggest match of the season. Just 1 second. And it's strange that these will be the guys that will be awarded that. But however, that's the way it is, and we will live with it. In terms of the key battles out there, obviously Salah, he needs to return to form. His form has been poor by his standard since Christmas. He has struggled at times. You see him taking extra touches, running down kind of alleys, and even his pace, even going by players at times is labouring for him, and he really has struggled. And maybe it's just the mileage of the season's catching up on him, because what we're forgetting about this as well is that it's a treble versus a potential quadruple here. Which is massive. And sometimes you need that trigger to push you on to do those kind of amazing things and feats in football. And this match on Sunday could be one of those things. I think if City win, I think they could go on and win a treble. I think if Liverpool win, I think it's not inconceivable that we could do a quadruple, especially looking at the way things are panning out in the Champions League and stuff like that. And the FA Cup again is just, it'll be what it'll be. But if you look at it at the moment, some of those matchups that are there at the moment, Mane, very similar as well, showed a little bit of form, took his goal well the other night against Benfica. But he is also flattered to deceive at times. And I just wonder what will Jurgen go with up front. Luis Diaz has come in, he's been a breath of fresh air, scored a beautiful goal the other night, which is bread and butter really to him with the pace that he has and stuff like that. But the through ball was immense. And then if you look at the midfield, in the midfield, should Thiago start? Should Keita retain his place? Keita, arguably man of the match the other night against Benfica. Should he retain his place? Who knows what Jurgen's plans are. If you look at the projected lineups, Liverpool, Man City with a 4-3-3, Ederson, Cancelo, fabulous player. Arguably himself and Trent, the 2 best defensive players in the world at the moment. Laporte, Stones, Walker, Silva, Rodri, De Bruyne, Grealish, Foden and Sterling. Kevin De Bruyne, what a player. He's going to be very dangerous on the day. Grealish, I wouldn't be so worried about. I think he has flattered the save against Man City. Foden, very, very dangerous, fantastic player. And Sterling, we know the pace and the speed of him, especially when we play a high line. We're going to have to be very, very careful about him. He could do a lot of damage there. For Liverpool, again, it's 4-3-3. It's a flip of a coin with both these teams. They're both play in a very similar kind of way. I think Man City would be a little bit looser and we'd be a little bit more structured. But both fabulous teams, both at their peak, flip of a coin, 1 point in it in the league. Couldn't be any tighter in terms of a rivalry. Yeah, so we're going in with Alisson, Robertson, Van Dijk, Matip, Trent, Hendo, Fabinho, Thiago, Mane, Firmino, and Salah. I think he will start with the three OGs up front. Just to that bit of experience. And I think Firmino trying to create stuff by dropping deep to release the likes of Mane and Salah. I do think we will see Jota at some stage because I think Jota could just be a pest around those boys at the back. Certainly he'd give Laporte and Ruben Diaz a torturous time in the way that he plays. And I expect Diaz to be sprung from the bench at some stage, maybe with 20 minutes, half an hour to go, to bring that energy to open them up on that side there. And really test, I think, on that side. Who would be there? Probably maybe Kyle Walker, I'd say. So it'll be interesting how it all lines up. Had a quick look at the betting. Man City are even money. The draw is 13-5 and Liverpool are 12-5. So just over 2-1 for Liverpool, which is huge odds for Liverpool. Probably the longest odds they've been this season in a game. In terms of predictions, I think the game's going to be really, really tight. I don't think it's going to be a goal fest. I think they'll be very careful in the first, say, 25, 30 minutes. I don't think Liverpool will go gung-ho right from the beginning. I think they've learned and educated themselves that they need to be a bit more patient. Let the game evolve. See how the game goes. Give Jurgen something to digest and understand before he makes changes or ideas, or if he needs to make changes. And then press the button and go for it. I think if we come out of the traps gung-ho too early, I think we might open ourselves up and we might play into City's hands. So I think this has to be like a proper chess game where we have to sort of survey the landscape, so to speak, and then strike when it's time. Remember, we need a win, obviously, to go top. But like 1-0 will be fine. We take that all day. I'm predicting a 2-1 win to Liverpool. I think Mo Salah is due to bounce back with a big goal in a big game. And I'm thinking Trent with a free kick. And I think the goal we give away could be a Diaz header from a set piece. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. So I'm thinking 2-1 Liverpool. I think Liverpool will go top of the league. I'm sticking with the boys. There is a confidence there. But, you know, you're talking about the two best teams in world football at the moment, in terms of form and in terms of talent and in terms of managers. I mean, the dynamic between Pep and Klopp is the dynamic, and not only the dynamic and the respect. Like, if you look at both teams, it's an interesting rivalry because it does not needle in it. You know what I mean? There's no badness or animosity in it. It's a proper rivalry where both teams respect each other fully, and both managers respect each other fully, and they both understand fully what's on the line. And for Pep, you know, he really wants that Champions League. That's really, really important to him. For Klopp, he's already got it, but he'd love another league title and more, I'd say. So it'll be interesting to see how it runs out. It's a massive game. I think if we lose, I think the league is all but done. I think if we draw, I think there could be still more twists and turns potentially. And if we win, we do like coming from behind, and we do like, you know, in that final segment, but we do have a number of fixtures coming up. Everton will be fighting for their lives when we play them. Man City will be fighting for their lives in the top 4 race when we play them. I would expect to beat both teams, but two very tricky fixtures. And I do think both ourselves and City, especially being involved in the Champions League still and the FA Cup, could potentially drop more points. But it remains to be seen. But it's going to be an amazing game, and you can join us, of course, for the match reaction. We'll be coming to you Sunday evening right after the game, and the player ratings. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what the lineup is going to be, Reds. Get down there in the comments. Let us know what you think. Give us your score predictions, all that kind of thing. You know where to find us. We're on Twitter at Sessions Shankly. You get us on Gmail, the Upper Tier Podcast at gmail.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram, the Upper Tier. And this has been your Shankly Sessions match preview. Man City versus Liverpool. This one is for all the aces, boys. Let's do this.